Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled The 2007 Season the System Could Not Control. In 2007, Kansas plays for the national title, and half of college football panicked, not because Kansas cheated, not because the games were bad, but because the teams that normally absorb chaos were gone. LSU, Georgia, Florida State, Clemson, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Illinois. 8 programs that usually explain the season vanished. What followed wasn't parody, it was exposure. What disappeared and how it felt. Those teams don't just win games, they make things make sense. In a normal year, LSU losing on a random Saturday explains everything. In 2007, there was no LSU, so nothing explained anything. Wins stopped stabilizing narratives, losses stopped clarifying rankings, and without realizing it, the sport crossed the line. It stopped arguing about who was the best and started worrying about who was acceptable. The Great Redistribution, why this should have failed. To compensate, the sport tried redistribution. Coaches, quarterbacks, running backs moved away from their dissolved programs and reassigned not to contenders, but to non-blue blood teams, either non-blue blood or teams that struggled the year before. Among these changes, Les Miles to Michigan, Bobby Bowden to West Virginia, Matthew Stafford to Michigan State, Jamarcus Russell to Arizona. On paper, this looked like a balance. In reality, none of these programs were built to hold this much volatility, and everyone knew it. This wasn't correction, it was pressure testing, and something was going to break. The first slide was the preseason rankings. USC opened the year ranked number 1. Undefeated trajectory, talent everywhere, perfect optics. And almost immediately, the polls stopped telling the truth. Not because USC was bad, but because they are untouched. They weren't surviving chaos, they were insulated from it. Meanwhile, teams like Kansas and Rutgers, well, they kept winning. And every win made voters feel more uncomfortable. So rankings stopped reflecting performance, they started reflecting fear. A name you should have noticed earlier. Here's the part everyone misremembers. Kansas didn't sneak up on the sport. They beat who they're supposed to beat. Then they beat the teams they weren't. And every time they won, the broadcast tone changed. Not excitement, but anxiety. Because one of those teams was going to ruin the season, and no one wanted it to be Kansas. And then there's USC's quiet problem. USC keeps winning. Clean wins, controlled wins, professional wins. And the praise got quieter every week. This wasn't contempt. That would have been easier. This was indifference. Dominance without resistance doesn't feel like dominance. It feels like absence. And absence defined the season. The leaked meeting before it fell apart. In August, before the chaos peaked, an emergency call leaked. Coaches, commissioners, network executives. One line cut through everything. We're not choosing the best teams. We're choosing the least destabilizing outcome. That was before Kansas cracked the top 10, before the Big East mattered, before the system realized it could not hide anymore. The BCS room panics in real time. By December, the BCS had no good answers. USC was undefeated, Kansas was undeniable, Oklahoma felt normal, Wisconsin felt safe. At one point, the room reportedly went silent because no one could explain how to justify Kansas without admitting the system had failed. One quote still leaked anyways. We're not crowning a champion, we're preventing a rejection. Kansas made the playoff not because they were trusted, but because excluding them would have exposed the lie completely. The playoff, the outcome no one wanted. As a compromise, a 14 playoff comes to fruition. First semifinal, Kansas beats Oklahoma, the one outcome the room feared and the one it couldn't stop. USC beat Wisconsin. Then in the title game, USC beat Kansas. On paper, everything worked. In reality, nobody felt relieved. USC were champions, but they weren't anchors. Kansas were runners up, but unforgettable. The system survived, but it did not convince. The real aftermath is the season didn't prove college football needed reform. It proved the sport wasn't held together by rules. It was held together by assumptions. And once the wrong teams mattered, once Kansas couldn't be laughed away, The entire structure panicked. 3 days after the title game, another memo leaks. 6 words, or 4. This cannot happen again. So here's the real question. If Kansas had won that title, would you accept it? Because the sport wasn't ready then, and I'm sure it's not ready now. And if you like this alternate college football universe deep dive, like, comment, and subscribe for more college football alternate universe chaos and fun.